in TV land? It's your boy Freelancer Joe, and it is time for Drinks with Joe. So let's go ahead and get started. And of course, we start Drinks with Joe by pouring Joe a drink. Well, I certainly hope. Actually, you know what? First, we're gonna do. We're gonna try and get this just a little bit closer, so that hopefully, if my voice dips, which it probably will, you'll still be able to hear me. And it might be a little bit too much, but hey, we can always water it down later. So while I'm pouring, how y'all doing today? Doing good? Fine? Wonderful? Oh yeah, that was definitely a little bit too much. It is a glorious and fantastic and wonderful Saturday late afternoon. I hope we shall consider this late afternoon. I wouldn't want to give off the appearance that I'm a lush, which I'm not. Beautiful fall day. Let's go ahead and give you a light. Can you see? Yeah, okay, yeah. There you go. It's gotten cooler. I was rather unfortunate. It's rather unfortunate. I was kind of hoping that we would have just one more day of slightly warmer weather so I could crack open the windows. But now it's like 50 and that's just a little bit too cold, so yeah, it is what it is. Oh yeah, that hits the spot. It's also just a little bit too much. They say that vodka is tasteless, and it's true, of course it is tasteless, but when you can pick up the alcohol, you know you've got quite a bit in there. So Drinks with Joe is the time of the week. What's the point of using my hands to express myself if they're not in the camera view? That doesn't work out, whatever. So Drinks with Joe is the time of the week when I take the opportunity to review my past week and recap and share with you. I'm assuming you've been watching my videos, so you know you have a rough idea of what's going on. Is that a little bit too much for me to presume? Maybe. Anyway. And I do these recaps because, as old Freelancer Joe says, if you want to get somewhere, it helps to pay attention to where you've been going. Now, if you notice that my eyes shift to the right just a little bit, it's because I'm trying something new. Most of the time, I have like a rough idea of the things that I want to cover, but I don't spend a lot of time on it, for one, and two, I don't really formalize it. I still haven't spent a lot of time on it, working on it, but I have actually at least laid them out, so hopefully I'll be able to hit everything in a fairly concise order. I mean, it'll still be loosey-goosey because I don't want to follow a script or anything, but I just would like to make sure that I cover all the basic ideas. And also, if there's like a little bit of a buzzing sound in the background, that's because buzzing and banging. The buzzing is because I'm still doing my ripping, the conversion of my physical to digital media. Two, the banging is because I got the dryer going. And you might also hear the neighbor's dogs because I think they have them outside on the patio. So, we shall see. Let me see. So week in review, and boy, it has been one heck of a week. Finished up 9 straight days of going to work, resumed my training after a 2-week hiatus, and I reimposed my dietary guidelines. And yeah, I was definitely feeling the impact of all of that as we got closer to the end of the week, but hey, I made it through. And I will be completely honest, it kind of feels like I'm turning a page and getting the momentum, energy, inspiration to kind of move into the next phase. And if you've been paying attention to my Drinks with Joe episodes the past couple weeks, you notice that I've said that it really feels like I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I was going a little bit forward, but I was still it was very small steps and not really, it was still advancing, but not breaking through, you know? And I gotta admit, I really feel like I'm at that point where it's gonna happen, or I'm going to make it happen. And could I really pin it down onto what exactly it was? More likely a multitude of things, though a big culprit, and I will freely cop to this, is spending just a little bit too much time playing video games. Not nearly as much as I used to when I was younger, but still it's drawing quite a bit of my attention. Well, as you can tell by my Gaming with Joe episodes, that Destiny 2 has been my my poison of choice, and yeah, it's really been sucking me in. And so I'm going to go ahead and recap this week in Destiny 2 because it was so freaking awesome. And yet you would think that would kind of make it even more of a draw in, but it's kind of like, it's a release. It's like, okay, I've gotten things that I wanted to get done in that game, and now it doesn't have quite as strong of a hook into me as it did before. So let me see, earlier in the week, and I believe I've mentioned this before, I got my my second Seed of Light from my Warlock, which means I can unlock the second subclass. And well, so first of all, it was the first of the second subclasses I unlocked, which was a really big thing for me. Although it wasn't so good that I got on the Warlock because I already liked the subclass I had. And that's the thing, the Warlock, all of their subclasses have really good purposes, general use purposes. But the Titan itself, none of the new subclasses, well, other than the Void subclass, I think none of the new subclasses really all that much better than the current subclasses that they have. So wasn't really needing it for that, but I definitely wanted Seed of Life for the Hunter because the subclass that I picked, it needs a little work. And the really dominant subclass is the Solar subclass. So, yeah, but you know what? Hey, I was happy I at least got that second subclass unlocked. So that was one. And then I think like the first match of Gambit that I spun up, the Chimera / Meatball showed up and my team won. So I got the exotic quest for Malfeasance started, which was great, totally lucky. Wasn't really planning on that. And then in the Festival of Lost, I unlocked my last triumph, matching with a bunch of randos, and that was great. That was really great, and surprising too. I was really concerned that I'd have to wait until my buddies show up online, and since they weren't going to show up the first week, and they didn't show up the second weekend, and they didn't show up, well, as it turns out, they didn't show up this weekend either, which didn't matter because if they weren't showing up the second weekend, they probably weren't going to be able to finish anything, so that's just as well. But yeah, I was really, really surprised at how well I did with those randos. I mean, I'd been matching with randos before, and had only been consistently clearing like branch 5 or 6. But we got in with these, I got in with these randos and cleared it tonight, which was great. So you figure that would be enough for the week, right? But oh no. So this morning, remember I was talking about wanting that Hunter subclass? Yes, I got another Seed of Light. So you get those second Seeds of Lights by doing the Blind Well, and I had done my best to stay out of the Blind Well because I felt that I was under level. But now, I guess after, I don't know what they did, but my levels have just been shooting up now, and pretty much all 3 of my characters are like the upper 590s and 600s the max. So I think that's a big thing about why I don't feel like it's gonna have much of a pull on me anymore, because it just seemed like I had a really big hill to climb, and now it's now not only am I pretty much near the top, I'm like not that far from the top at all. I mean, there's no really reason for me to, not that there was ever a reason for me to push, because it is just a game, right? But the psychological hooks in me now are not there, since, you know, it doesn't really matter how hard I try. It's just going to be purely about luck now at this point. So that's great, but that's not even the final best piece of news. So after weeks and of off and on trying, I finally got an Ikelos weapon from the Escalation Protocol. I did not realize this. I thought it was locked in the chest, but apparently it was a random drop from the boss in the Wave 7 of Escalation Protocol. Which you would think I would have gotten an Ikelos weapon sooner, but no. I didn't. But not only did I get an Ikelos weapon drop finally today, I got the Ikelos shotgun. I knew this was going to be the drop this week, so that's not too much of a surprise. But yes, I got the shotgun, and I tried it out, and it is as friggin' awesome as everybody says it is. So of the 3 major DPS weapons in the game, there's the Sleeper Sibilant, which I got, and then there's a Ikelos shotgun, which I got, and then there's just the Whisper of the Worm. That one, yeah, that one, I did give it another shot today of trying to get it, and yeah, it's gonna take a while. So you think, well, Joe, isn't that gonna kind of hook your mind into it? Well, no, not really, because it's only available to complete, 1, on the weekends, and 2, it's still, you have to wait for an event to happen, and I'm not gonna just sit around waiting for something to happen. And if I can't practice at it, and that needs to be practiced, or if I can't consistently practice at it, then I'm not really gonna stress out about it. I mean, I'll give it a shot when it pops up, but you know, the more random something is, the less likely that I'm going to be interested in trying to get it. Which is kind of funny, since the Destiny 2 itself is a looter / shooter. You get loot to shoot, and you shoot to get loot. And what kind of loot you get is dependent upon randomness. But a game that really has its hooks in knows that you keep the variability of loot very high, and you shower lots of loot, lots of potentially good loot. And that's kind of a bit of a problem with like specific weapons in Destiny. Like, for example, the Ikelos shotgun, the Ikelos weapons in general. If the variability is actually getting that type of weapon, as well as getting the weapon, then it's not quite as good as, say, you're going to consistently get these types of weapons, but whether or not they're the good one is debatable. Oh, excuse me for a minute. We have, as I said, I'm still ripping, or doing my conversion. So let's go ahead and switch discs. And add in the new disc. So I'm about, let's see, halfway through this binder. And I still have 2 more, so it's 2.5 of these, and then that doesn't include a bunch of other DVDs that are still in boxes, and then that still doesn't include the Blu-rays. So I'm really hoping I can at least get this one done, this binder done, before the weekend's over. We'll see. We'll start that. Now look at this. We're almost at the intermission mark, and I just spent all the time talking about Destiny 2, a video game. That's probably exactly what has been happening to me these past few weeks. I have been focusing my energy on the wrong thing. But, like I said, things are kind of turning around. I feel like I've really turned that page. And maybe just getting this last bit of Destiny 2 off my chest is the perfect catharsis, you know? That let it all out, and now we can move on. But speaking of moving on, we're at the 15-minute point, so we will break for an intermission, and we will be back in 10 seconds. I hope you like the meme. So you know how I know that was too much alcohol in that drink? Well, one, because I'm slurring, and two, because I forgot the music for Drinks with Joe. How can you have Drinks with Joe without... This is, by the way, is called the 7th Floor Tango, performed by Silent Partner. According to the YouTube music library, I don't need to give them attribution, but I do feel like giving them attribution because it's freaking awesome. You know, I think if I ever had the time, I do have the time, the excess of time, I wouldn't mind, well, learning how to do, you know, the classical ballroom dancing types of things. Well, you also need a partner too. And I do have my honey bunny, but I imagine she'd be very shy taking lessons. But that's something to do. That's something to do. Oh, by the way, that meme, of course, is a little bit of a reminder to you folks to make sure to vote. Vote this coming week. This is, what is today? The 3rd? Yeah, the 3rd. Elections next week. Although that presumes that you watch this episode before elections. Then again, I suppose it's always your civic duty to remember to vote, so go ahead and do that. Anyway. The whole point of Freelancer Drinks with Joe is for Freelancer Joe to recap his week. So let's go ahead and recap the week. I have been recapping the week, but I just recapped the wrong thing. Not the wrong thing. I mean, I enjoyed talking about Destiny. Now, that says a lot, doesn't it? But we're supposed to be talking about Freelancer stuff and other stuff. Well, that Destiny does fall under other stuff, but other specific stuff towards advancing myself. As opposed to things that I enjoy. And you'd think it'd be so much better if I enjoyed like doing the freelancer stuff and training and working and dieting and all that stuff. Well, I mean, I imagine if I really enjoyed it, then I wouldn't have to do things like make schedules and commitments and blah blah blah. It would just happen naturally. Like when I play Destiny. Oh. Okay, so freelancer activities. Kind of small, very minor, but I basically just cleaned up all the warnings in my templates. Now they were just warnings, so they didn't break anything, but they were a form of technical debt, because what could happen in the future is when I do a package upgrade, those warnings no longer become warnings, but they result in errors and things breaking. And since the templates were going to form the basis of, you know, future applications, it's best to keep them clean and up to date. Otherwise, let's say I get 3 clients and they use one particular template, or they select one template and I use that for the basis for all the work. And then I have to do a package upgrades and then they all break. Then I have to fix them in 3 different places. Whereas if I kept the template up to date, then, well, that package upgrade would never result in an error, and then when I update the 3 clients, their things don't break either. It's just a clean boom. And that's why you take care of technical debt when you can, hopefully as soon as possible. Technical debt, like real life debt, is the type of thing you don't want to have. But now that that's done, what do I move on to next? Well, if I had not been bamboozled by the microphone on Thursday, you would have heard what I had decided to do. So there are 3 particular avenues I could go with. One was starting an investigation into Vue.js, which is a different scripting language, as opposed to React, which is the one I use right now. The reason for going into that is that there are also clients, which is really confusing to me, that specify that they want Vue developers. It's confusing to me because if clients were technical enough to know what what language to use for their website, why aren't they doing it themselves? You know? It's kind of like going to a doctor or a mechanic. Yeah, going to a car mechanic and saying, do you use Stanley tools? And if you don't, then well, I'm not going to hire you. And it's like, really? Why should it matter what tools I use as long as I can fix the car, you know? Software development is the one field where that happens an awful lot. Pretty much all the time, actually. And I cannot think of any other field where that happens at all. It's really weird. Really, really weird. But, so that's, Vue is one avenue. And then there's a second avenue. It is possible that my potential future real work might need Vue. So that would be beneficial for me to pick up as soon as possible. But the drawback of using it as my content for my freelancer videos is simply that it'll be a lot of time of me just reading stuff and trying to figure things out. It'll be a lot like when I was trying to figure out why my email Lambda wasn't working. You just see me reading documentation for a long time, which is not the most exciting. So what I've decided is I'm going to do that off camera. At least once I get a solid enough understanding of Vue, then I might set up like a Vue demo project like I have with my UI demo. But until then, I'll leave that alone for now, or at least off camera. And very similar, or much similar to that is another thing I could do is explore more AWS functionality. But it also has the same issue of a lot of the time is going to be me just looking at documentation, trying to figure things out. And unlike Vue, well, other than Cognito, what services within AWS I use is really going to depend on clients. So it doesn't have a lot of applicability to my current situation. And there's nothing in there right now that I really need to take advantage of. So it would be like spending time on things that just aren't immediately useful or even foreseeably useful. So, not really gonna do that. So in the hierarchy of things, right? AWS and then Vue are things to learn. And then the third thing, which was basically finding a React calendar library and implementing that. So that has immediate uses. I do know that the Bella Music School, my one client, which I really need to get back in contact with, they are going to want to be able to have a calendar where they show their upcoming events and classes, that kind of thing, right? So that immediately useful. Well, not immediately, but useful in the foreseeable future. And it also has applicability to myself because I could probably put something up there on my own website about, you know, my schedule for episodes. Now, I don't think I'm going to really deviate right now. I mean, based Sunday through Thursdays, freelancer episodes, Fridays, Gaming with Joe, and Saturdays, Drinks with Joe. But if my future work situation does make things a little bumpy for a while, then it'll be good to have that calendar up there. Plus, you know, when I get really popular and then invited to conventions and all that jazz, it'll be nice to have my schedule up there, you know. My speaking fees will be moderate, and my, what do they call it? Speaking requirements, you know, when you only want like green M&Ms in the green room, that kind of thing. Yeah, they'll be modest, just a reflection of who I am. So yeah, gonna work on the React calendar stuff. So when you join me tomorrow for my freelancer episode, that's what you're gonna see me doing. And actually, what I did on Thursday was set up the groundwork for where I'm gonna do that stuff. I mean, you couldn't hear because, again, I was bamboozled by my mic, but that's what I was doing. So yeah, so both those steps are very useful for making that leap forward. But the real leap forward is finding clients, getting clients. But yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, I have to make that. I have to reach out. I have to network. I have to talk to people. Well, at least with the Vue.js stuff, I will have more potential people to talk to. So that's good. All right, so that covers the freelancer stuff. And then there was my training, which I resumed, and so not unexpectedly, but unsurprisingly, there was a loss of stamina. But there was no real loss in strength. So what that means is the overall weight that I was pushing or pulling, depending on the exercise, was the same. But I could definitely tell that the number of times I could move that same weight was less. That's the dryer. Let me see. So I do 5 major exercises. There's the squats, shoulder press, front squats, bench press, and deadlift. And for those first 4, I basically did the same weights as well as the same repetitions that I did before I took my break. But they were on the lower repetitions. But I could tell that it definitely winded me more. Now as for the deadlift, that was the one exercise that I chose to dial back on the number of weights, or on the amount of weight. But I could tell, that the weight that I was doing, I had more strength to move heavier stuff. But I could also tell that, yeah, I couldn't move it as often as I did previously. Now, I dialed back mainly because by Friday, I was definitely feeling the wear of the long work week, as well as having all my training back in, as well as my body adjusting to the diet. So, but I knocked it all out, and that's good. So the expected loss of stamina, but the unexpected retention of strength, especially for a 2-week break. I mean, that's awesome. And on the plus side, I was a little worried about my knee at the beginning of the week, but it's okay. The right shoulder, like my knee, I have to pay attention to, but the right shoulder is actually a long-standing thing from when I learned how to ride a motorcycle. And yeah, I fully expect that and when I get older than I am, well, that's the only way you get older, right? You don't get old. Well, I mean, you get older than you were, but when you know what I'm saying. But when I reach seasoned age, yeah, it's gonna be an issue. But hey, I imagine if I'm fortunate enough to get to that age, I really won't care. So, yeah. It'll be something to complain about, in addition to weather and the kids on the lawn, you know. So, and music. What else do older people complain about? Music, kids these days, that rock and roll. I don't know. So there's that, and work, actual work, paid work. I think I mentioned before, but things are shaping up for the new gig. Fortunately for me, not so good for my coworkers, because they potentially were going to be going on to a new project too, but they might have to hang out at their current location for a little while longer. Yeah, so yeah. But on the plus side for me, that means I'm not going to be the one holding any bags, you know? When holding the bag, it's like if you have a bunch of people on the project and some go and some stay, the people that stay are holding the bag. Picking up the slack, as it were. But, yeah, so, well, we shall see. I mean, there's still nothing written in stone yet. But yeah, I'm hoping that really isn't going to impact my schedule too much. It might be really beneficial, actually get me closer to home, I want to say in spring, But we shall see. We shall see. There is a definite benefit. I can go into that. I'll go into that in a later point in time when things become more finalized. Otherwise, I'm just talking about what ifs and might haves, you know? No, what ifs, what ifs. If it doesn't work out, then it becomes might haves. Oh, yeah, I definitely put a little too much vodka in that drink. But we are past the 15-minute mark now, so cheers and salute to you. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the Saturday and weekend, and that I hope you join me tomorrow, as I am hoping to be sober, and we'll dive back into a new week of freelancer content. So until then, take care and God bless.